last semester. Really, sir, it was an amazing session. I
Thank you.
learned a lot about research article writing and how to write research proposal using AI tool. So thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And even today means I will be sharing your YouTube channel and the topic on how to write a research article to my PG students and my UG students. Thank you, sir. It's truly an honor to introduce you today in our institution. We are privileged to have you with us today, sir. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, madam. Thank you very much for the invitation and warm welcome.
Thank you, sir. Welcome you, sir.
Shall we start, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Is my screen visible or my audio, is it clear?
Yes, sir. It's clear, sir.
Okay,
Clear, sir.
sure. Thank you very much, madam, and for your institution for inviting me for today's workshop. I welcome all the participants I welcome everyone in today's session on all about writing the research paper. We'll go through the comprehensive guide on writing the research articles from zero to the end. In this session, what we are going to cover is, we'll begin with how to identify a research problem. Subsequently, we will see the importance of writing a review paper or writing a literature review section for our research article. As we know that planning and executing the research is extremely important. We'll take a look at each and every minute detail of that particular section. Then we'll go through the entire writing process, which is essential for writing any research article. We have to identify a proper scope of the research article. Otherwise, we may not be able to successful to lead an impactful research and high quality articles. We will also discuss about how to select journals and conferences for our research articles. And we'll go through the drafting of the first draft and what has to be done subsequently, how to decide the title, how to put the authors, affiliations, and their orders, and other things. We will begin with the abstract, introduction, literature review, and subsequently other contributions of our methodologies or the system model, what we are inventing or what we are studying for the research article. Subsequently, we'll discuss about how to frame or write the results and analytical discussions on our findings. And at the end, we will conclude and also will learn how to design or draft the future scope for our future research, as well as to lead the future researchers. What is the role of references and acknowledgement? These are the key elements that we will also discuss. We will also take a look at the characteristics of a dull paper, because when we understand what is a dull research article, we will understand our mistakes and then we'll try to rectify them. We will revise the drafts across multiple phases that we will discuss how to revise the drafts. And then finally, how to submit it to a journal or a conference, right? Once it is submitted, there would be major or minor revisions and how to address the reviewers' responses to make it through and get it published. What if we get the rejections? During the rejections, how to deal with the rejections, that we will also discuss. Let's begin with a fundamental question, that is it worth of writing a research article? We have to ask ourselves that what is the importance of writing a research article for an academician or for a researcher. We have to begin with the first fundamental question, that what we are working on, is that problem novel or is it already existing? If you pick up a problem statement which is not novel and already the solutions are existing, then there is no point to conduct the research in that particular field. Therefore, it is extremely essential to identify the novel problem statement. Can we think something that solves a fundamental problem and identify an unoccupied slot for publishing, right? We have to see first that what's not been done so far and what is the current problem which people are facing. Once we identify the fundamental problem, we can start thinking in that direction to define the problem statement, unoccupied slot, and developing the solutions, right? We have to see first that what's not being produced the work and we can publish. And what is the current problem? If there are too many papers already been published, once we identify in the literature problem on the same problem, we can start thinking in that direction to work on that kind of problem. Define the problem statement, we are addressing the and developing the solutions existing works, right? So we have to therefore that what's defining the field and problem statement is extremely important. We have to see what are the missing points or shortcomings of the published work, identify the limitations, identify the research gap, and then position our work in that particular direction. Can we work on overcoming the limitations of the proposed works or the proposed systems by other researchers? If yes, in that case, we can pursue further in that proper direction. Do not start unless we have answered above questions, because if we are attached with a particular idea and if that exists already, we may not be able to accomplish high quality publications. For an example, there is no point of reinventing the wheel. Wheel is being already invented. So if you want to invent something new on top of the wheel, then we can think about how to build a car using those wheels, right? I mean, definitely the cars are also existed, but that's the example that how to build a bicycle using that wheel, because there is no point to invent the wheel again. It's already there in that. It's already there in the field. Rethink and plan before we start our research work. Analyze that. Discuss with the peers or supervisors or the colleagues. Then and only then we will be able to think clearly and then plan even before we start, so that we can save a lot of time and we can go in a proper direction. Let's identify the research problem. How to identify the research problem? The major point is the novelty and originality. Novelty and originality. Work must be original. It shouldn't be incremental. Sometimes we just do the incremental work. Work must be original. And it should be long lasting also. Let's say if we find a particular slot where we can work for 5 years or 10 years, then it can give us some sort of fruitful outcomes, as well as we have a scope for the contributions to develop the solutions towards that particular problem, And it should have a long-lasting impact also. It shouldn't be just for publishing a research article, but our research work should have a long-lasting impact. And for any particular field which we have identified, if we start early, then we should be able to beat the competition. We should be able to beat the competition and we can publish successfully in that particular field. If we are too late in identifying a particular problem, it's better not to pursue that. Instead, we can find out some other problem statements or a field where less clouded problem. There are not many research articles or solutions are available, right? So then we get some sort of scope to contribute in that particular direction. Let's begin with the problem statement. How to define the problem statement, or what is a problem statement? A problem statement should be a focus statement about the principal research problem. What we want to do exactly. We cannot be at a surface and we cannot be generic here. We have to be extremely specific as possible. We have to be discussing a specific pertinent problem and what could be done in that direction to solve that problem. The objectives, they are extremely important. The goal or the outcomes that we want to accomplish. right? We must have a clarity on this, that what we want to accomplish at the end of our research work, what we want to accomplish at the end of our research work. So the goal is directly tagged with a problem statement, and ideally there would be 3 to 5 objectives around that problem statement. Ideally, there would be 3 to 5 problem statements, problem of 3 to 5 objectives around that problem statement. Identifying a potential research problem statement is sometimes difficult. So let's say we have to be a thinker, and then we have to start thinking that, have I addressed the main question? Have I addressed the main question? Does my research problem statement pass the so what test? Does my research problem statement pass the so what test? Does my research problem statement pass how and why test, right? How will I do that? I mean, let's say I have defined a particular problem statement. So I can conduct a so what test, that so what if I contributed in that direction, right? What would be the impact? Why am I doing this? And how will I do this? What would be the methodologies that I will develop, or what are the solutions or products that I will develop at the end of my that research, at the end of my that research? And the next question is why? Why am I doing that? Why am I doing that? Any fundamental pressing problem which is creating troubles, or people are struggling with that, to solve that, we have to contribute and to develop a solution so that we can address that. What would be the impact of my research, right? Generally, when we pick up a fundamental problem statement, the impact would be significant in next 10 or 20 years. That's how the research is framed. That's how the research is framed. What would be the size of my research? Size matters a lot, because we cannot just contribute at a surface with our tiny efforts, right? It should go much more deeper, and the research should be sizable, and it should meet the complexity, and the solution also should be novel, and it should create a larger impact. That's why the size also matters. For a publication, the size of the work should also matter. Next question is that I have to ask, does it address the principal problem and solve it for too many people, right? My research work should be able to solve a problem or address a problem for a society, and it should create that kind of large impact. So these are the questions which we have to ask to identify a research problem statement. Research problem statement. Once we have addressed that, next important stage begins with the planning. Next important stage begins with the planning. The planning stage is a crucial stage for performing the research and publishing the high quality research papers. Sometimes we start randomly, and after a few months or few years of our PhD or our research work, we get stuck in between because we haven't planned well. Therefore, it is extremely important that we spend substantial time in planning our research before we start, so that it can save a lot of time. It involves a deep thinking about the research problem, what we have identified, and how we will execute our research to accomplish those objectives, what we identified, and the goal, what we have defined. And accordingly, we will conduct the research, draft the research article, and then publish. Draft the research article and then publish. The same thing is applicable for patents also. Same thing is applicable for patents also. Identifying a particular topic or problem statement that matches with the scope of our assignment, right? We have to identify a particular topic or a problem statement that matches with the scope of our assignment. Let's say we are working with a particular team, or if we are pursuing a PhD, we got a supervisor. Then there would be a scope tag in that. Or if you are working on some sort of funded projects, then there are expectations by the funding agency also. Therefore, the scope is defined. Hence, we have to define the problem statement which is aligned with that particular scope. Later, you ask how much time is allocated, right? How much time is allocated plan an appropriate period of time which covers the literature review, executing the research, writing the research articles, revising them, submitting to the journals or conferences. Then we revise that based on the comments, and then it leads to the final publication. And then it leads to the final publication. Explore and study the relevant sources. Now, reading is a very essential habit that one researcher or academician or any person should have in their lives that we have to read consistently and at a regular basis. So therefore, keep reading the relevant sources which are around your research problem. Understand the expectations very clearly in the team where you're working, for the funded project where you're working, or along with a particular supervisor with whom you are pursuing your PhD degree, right? Understand their expectations very nicely. Discuss with your supervisor and understand what are their expectations. Understanding the expectations solves lot of problems, and we can take early corrective steps if we are not doing the work in the proper direction, and we can correct our direction to match their expectations. Take a closer look at the instructions what our research supervisor or a guide has given, right? Or our team has given, or the colleagues have given. Let's say if you are working in a team, there would be multiple hierarchies or other senior researchers. Look at their instructions and align your steps or efforts in that particular direction. Understand what is being asked of us. Identify the target journals and conferences where we want to publish. Often, it is essential that we identify the platform for publications there where we are targeting. And accordingly, we can plan the work and ensure that we are meeting that quality standard for a journal. Let's say if we are targeting for a Q1, top 5% Q1 journals, then our research work should be meeting that quality standard. And after doing the research, if the work is primitive, then it won't be published in that particular journal. Therefore, we have to plan the research ahead of the time. Therefore, we target a particular journal or set of journals, align our research in that direction, and then we conduct entire research. Understand the expected quality standard or the work level by that particular journal or conference. Understand their expectations. Understand the complexity expected. And sometimes they expect mathematical work. Sometimes they expect experimental work. Sometimes they expect basic research or applied research. Sometimes they expect extremely complex and qualityful work, right? So understand the expectations and then perform the research activities matching the expected quality standards. Then perform the research activities matching these expected quality standards by the publishers. Often we ask the questions to ourselves also. Let's say, what is my deadline? Let's say if I am a PhD scholar, then best deadline could be after the coursework is every 6 months, one journal article should be communicated. Every 6 months, one journal article should be communicated so that at least every year I can publish one journal article and I can complete my PhD in time. That kind of deadline we have to set. If we do not set the deadline, years will fly and we will not produce any outcome. At the end, we will be in a rush or we drop out. What is the goal of that particular assignment that we have to see? Let's say if we are pursuing a PhD, the goal could be publish 1 or 2 journal papers or 1 or 2 journal articles. Now, often some of the students, they say there is no such requirement. Now, universities have eliminated the requirement of publishing 1 or 2 journal articles, and they are extremely happy and joyful. But please note that your supervisor may not allow you to complete the degree without a publication, right? So maybe at least one publication is needed, and that should be a target of a researcher also, because that demonstrates that we are capable of conducting a high quality research. What topics, which topics can we write about, right? We have to align our work with the expertise what we have. If you're not expert, we have to start reading, build the expertise or knowledge in that proper direction. The fundamental building block of any research article begins with literature review, or fundamental block begins with a literature review for any research, because we do not have a background. And if you want to pursue the research in that direction, the first step is to start reading the research articles. First step is to start reading the research articles, right? Go through the research articles, skim them. So when you start doing the literature review for your research work, keep your scope wider and go through plenty of articles. Let's say 100 articles for an example. Skim those papers or articles. Go through their abstracts, headings, and subheadings. Do not read the entire paper in first go. Let's say I got one paper. I shouldn't be open that and start reading from top to bottom, everything, each and every word. Because after 10 days of substantial reading, I may find that article wasn't useful, or it wasn't in the direction of my research problem statement or in the field. Therefore, perform the scheming action. Initially, just skim these articles and then understand what is useful for us, and then filter the target articles, and then read the fewer relevant papers thoroughly, and then you do the focused reading. So let's say out of 100 articles, I'll filter out maybe 5 or 10 articles, or maybe you have sample 3 articles, the best articles. So generally what I do, 3 sample papers, which could be a reference for my research, and then I read them thoroughly and I try to move in that direction, solving that problem further. And that helps me to understand what kind of writing is required for a scientific research article. Read the introduction and conclusion, right? That gives you, so read the title, abstract, introduction, followed by the conclusion. By that, we understand that what is this article and what's their insight. And we can scheme and then understand that should it go to the second round of reading, or should it be eliminated from the list? Look at the charts or tables, right? When we go much more deeper, reach each and every word, each and every equation, but not for all the articles, only for the selected articles. Reach each and everything, understand everything. Initially, we struggle, and that's the best sign. If we do not struggle, that means something is wrong. If we understand very easily, that means that article is not so challenging, right? Or we are so, our expertise is at a next level. But generally we struggle. Even if I start reading, I struggle, and that's a good sign. So I have to go through that struggle and keep reading it again and again, and understand those concepts or models. Look at the references also. Sometimes the qualityful research, they will cite extremely high impactful citations or references. So by that, we can judge that this is an authenticated research which I am reading. So that helps me to save the time as well as read the proper material. Skim the body and read the relevant content, what is related with my problem statement. Once this is done, let's say we might take a couple of months to build the concepts, to build the expertise, or to build the background knowledge through the literature review. The next important stage comes through the implementation. We have to explore the literature for our research through maybe research articles, could be journal articles, could be conference articles, could be books, or could be any other reliable sources. Could be white papers, patents, or maybe technological reports, anything. Identify the unexplored area before we dive deep into the implementation. Identify the research gap. These days, there are AI tools available which helps to automate this process a bit, and it makes a bit easier for us to read and identify the research gaps, right? So there are research AI tools available. We can use them as an assistant, but please note that they cannot replace the human's critical thinking capability. They must be used as an assistant to reduce the workload and save the time for other impactful activities. What new developments might require to update for the updated research, right? And take the important notes when you are reading. When we are reading, take the important notes. It could be in the digital format. Also, you can use such as a research tool, AI tool such as, let's say, SciSpace is extremely well suited for extremely good for the literature review. You can use those kind of tools, and you can read there itself and take the notes in your notebook, digital notebook, and you can save it there also, and you can maintain everything there. It answers your questions and answers also. It answers your questions also, and you can discuss with that SciSpace tool. It would be your research assistant, and it will help you to build the understanding quickly. Collect the broader picture about your field in which you want to work, and then narrow down the focus to a specific segment, right? Start with a broader statement, or start with a broader scope, and then slowly increase the specificity, go specific and increase the focus level, and then cut down to or narrow down the scope to a specific problem, Digest the earlier research, which will help us to formulate our arguments in the research paper, what we are aiming for. During the research, retain the notes and also note down the sources. If you cannot write the entire citation, that is okay, at least write down a title. So later, when you build the literature review section, or when you want to cite any of the source during the writing process, or during the revision from the reviewers, they may ask to cite some sort of sources. At that time, we do not struggle if we have recorded the source materials from where we are reading or referring. That's why it is extremely important. Next important phase is research paper writing phases. Next important part is research paper writing phases. If I look at this, the entire writing process is divided into 3 subparts. First one, after implementing the entire research work, we will go through the writing process, right? So structuring the research article, consider some of the key elements, such as, let's say, we have to begin with the title, then affiliations, abstract, main body of the paper. Now the main body covers introduction, then there is a heavy segment of literature's review or literature survey. What are our contributions in terms of developing the technological solutions or methodologies or system models? What are the results that represent our findings? Discuss those results with analytical reasoning and present it to the rest of the research community. And finally, conclude the article with your conclusive remarks. Subsequently guide the researchers for a future scope. And then at the end, references will come. This is all about the structuring of the research article. We will go through each element in more detail, and we'll understand what should be taken care of. The next part is, which tool do you use for writing the research articles? Most of the people, they may use Word, but if it is a scientific research article, it's better to use the cloud-based LaTeX platforms. You can use any of that, such as, let's say, Overleaf is widely used platform. And then you have to decide the journal or a conference for which you are targeting a research article. Once you have defined or decided that, find out the format prescribed by that journal or conference, and then organize your text file in that LaTeX-based tool or could be on overlay platform, and then design the entire research article in that. Finally, the last stage that indicates the validation and proofreading. At the end, I have to do the proofreading of it. Go through that entire article multiple times, ensure that there are no mistakes, or as least as possible there is a scope of the mistakes, right? We have to be thoroughly sure that whatever we have written, that is right as per our best of capability and knowledge. Ensure that the plagiarism is below 10%. Often some of these conferences or journals, they may have a criteria of 20%. So follow those criteria, whatever they have mentioned. Now you have to ensure that AI score is also below 10 or 20%, because these days there are many AI tools available. We can use them. We can use them definitely for our assistance, but we have to acknowledge that that usage is an ethical usage and we are not overusing it. And if you have used, disclose that it is used for so and so purpose to the publisher. Now, this entire process, up to certain extent, can be eased by using the AI tools. There are several AI tools available for researchers to do the brainstorming on the research questions, such as, let's say, you can explore, discuss, or ask the questions or the recent research problems to Google Studio AI, which uses again Gemini at the back end. So you can think about that. You can use ChatGPT also to discuss and to leverage that, right? Those are really good tools, but ensure that the research articles shouldn't be AI generated articles. They have to use for our assistance, right? So that we can speed up our research process. Let's say we want to summarize complex topics, then again, those tools are really good. If we want to summarize the literature review or have a detailed hands-on on the literature review, then SciSpace could be really a good choice. Right? SciSpace could be really a good choice. There are other tools such as, let's say, Research Rabbit, Semantic Scholars, right? Chat PDF, right? You can get a command on one and you can use it. So one tool could be for literature review, and one tool could be for brainstorming, paraphrasing, and so on, right? When you want to draft or paraphrase, there are multiple tools, such as, let's say, Grammarly, WordTune, Jenny AI, right? Or you can use ChatGPT. You can use Gemini or Google Studio AI for paraphrasing also, and disclose that you have used those tools for paraphrasing purpose, but the ideas are yours and they are original. You are not copying the ideas from somewhere. And refer the entire material, right? Refer the entire material from where that is coming. Analyzing the extensive documents, yes, SciSpace does it very nicely. Furthermore, this also does it. You can attach the files, and any of these large language models, they do it nicely. Maintaining the academic integrity. That means identify the plagiarism index and AI score. Mostly people use Turnitin widely, where it indicates the plagiarism, as well as there is a new feature for checking the AI score also, So be aware of these research AI tools for researchers so that it may help you to speed up your process. Let's begin with the characteristics of a research paper. We have to understand what could be a research paper, right? A research paper is a piece of writing that attempts to present the focused solution to the specific research problem. And the center of the research paper would be a problem statement. What we are discussing. It would present the in-depth study of a research question for a particular problem statement which we have defined. So our entire work should be focused around the problem statement. And it should be original and innovative. The work, what we are putting in the research article, it should be original and innovative, and it should contribute something novel. It should contribute something novel. In support of the problem statement, a varieties of sources we have to go through, read them, and cite them also. Let's say a good research article, a researcher will go through, let's say, at least 50 to 100 other research articles to build the knowledge, and they cite those articles also, right? They cite those articles also. In-depth writing, which requires detailed planning and sizable research contribution. Therefore, when conducting the research, be critical. Go as much as deeper as we can and develop the solutions as novel as possible, so that when writing, we match the size of expectations given by the publishers. The low quality research articles, they will be rejected immediately, even in the preliminary scanning process itself. Identify the scope of the research article. Identify the scope of the research article. Always stay around the problem statement. What we have defined, stay around that. If we start deviating from that, and if we go across the horizon, not much more deeper, then we may not be accomplished sizable outputs. We have to be specific, extremely specific in designing the methodologies and solutions to address the problem statement, what we have defined. Be extremely specific. Avoid fitting too much into one research article. Avoid fitting too much into one research article. Generally, what people do, that they stuff too much into one research article itself, and then they struggle because it's not focused. Divide the content into multiple articles if possible, so that you can have multiple articles also, and it reduces the workload too. If there is a logical break. But if there is no logical break, you go ahead with a comprehensive research article. When writing, maintain the expected quality standard, size, and level of the complexity. These days, writing is slightly easier because of those AI tools, or because of those other tools such as Grammarly, and there are too many. Quillbolt, you decide what you are comfortable with what, right? Writing is slightly easier. However, you maintain the quality standard of your work, which we have implemented during the research phase, so that we match the size and the level of complexity expected by a particular journal or a conference, or let's say our supervisor, right? If I am reporting to my PhD supervisor, I have to ensure that at least I stay above his or her expectations. If we are below their expectations, it won't work. That's why be careful always about that. Enhance the English and use advanced vocabulary. Enhance the English written in that article, and then use the advanced vocabulary. During the revision phase, you can substitute the primitive words with advanced words or vocabulary. AI tools or other paraphrasing tools such as WordTune, Grammarly, Quillbolt, or Thesaurus can help you with this. Later, go with the journal or conference in which you want to publish. Most of the people, what people do, that they first do the work, and at the end of the cycle, they come up and say, now I'll go with Q4 or Q3. That approach is incorrect. We have to decide the journal first and ensure that we match the quality standard and work at that expectation, right? It should be a reversed approach. Identify a target journal first or a conference first where we want to go. Generally, people decide the conferences based on their interests, such as, let's say, where they want to go for some sort of exotic locations or somewhere. Or the second approach is the top-notch conferences. They decide so that they can go there, build the network, and expand the collaboration. That's why it is extremely important to identify a target journal and a conference for our research work. Study the scope of that journal or conference, which must be fitting with our research work. Study the scope of that journal or conference, which must be fitting with our work. So that work which we have done, it should be accommodated within the scope of that journal or a conference. Look at the previous published articles in that specific journal or conference. Look at the previous published articles in that specific journal or conference and maintain the similar expected quality standard during your research work. When we are doing the research, then if we have taken a look, if we have 3 sample articles from the best journal, then we will be able to understand that what quality standard is needed, and we conduct our entire research meeting that quality standard or going nearby to that. Definitely in the initial efforts, we may not be able to reach that, but slowly when we build the background and we keep doing the work, at some point of time, we will reach that quality standard. Think as reviewers think. When we upload the article, reviewers will be very critical and they'll give the critical comments. Their thinking pattern would be towards the rejection oriented, that because the rejection ratio is naturally higher. So we have to think that what could be the possible comments from the reviewers that I can address when doing the research itself. This could be done by your supervisor nicely. If he or she is not doing it, that's your job. You do it. Because if you are so much critical about your own work, most probably when it goes outside, the success rate becomes higher. Success probability becomes higher. Go for a peer review. Discuss with your senior researchers or mentors, supervisors, whoever. Ask for their opinion, what they think about it. Ask them critical questions. Do the brainstorming. If you are not doing it this right nicely, the consequence is we do not get it published and we lose the time also in doing the primitive research work. And it won't be published in the good journal or conference or in the good journals or conferences where we are targeting. The next part is outlining the structure of the entire research article. Outlining the structure of the entire research article. Organize your thoughts first. Before we commence the writing of the research article, create a clear-cut outline of the paper that what we want to include. Create a clear-cut outline of the paper that what we want to include. Understand the information flow nicely. Ensure that nothing is forgotten. The outline is a list about the items what we plan to include in each section or subsection of the research article. Structured outline enables us to organize the ideas and fit them in the organized fashion in the research paper without forgetting anything. Once we outline our document or research article or a thesis or anything patent, there is a least chance that we forget something. And if we have outlined nicely, it gives a clear-cut path to a brain that in which direction we have to work. That's why deciding the outline is extremely important. Then we begin with the writing phase. When you start writing the research paper, generally many researchers, the seasoned researchers or the experienced researchers, they prefer to write the main body of the work first, the technical section or the core section of the work first. And that makes sense also, that the work which we have done, we can write that first and later we can develop the abstract introduction, which includes the literature review also, and the conclusion once we have written the main body. Once we have written the main body, we get the clear idea that what could be the items in abstract or points in abstract, what could be the introduction, and we can frame the story and preface in that way, subsequently followed by the detailed literature review. And at the end, the conclusion also. Because when we have drafted the main body, it would be easier for us to draft the conclusion, abstract, and introduction. That's why they start at a later stage. Also consider the word count and page limit for a given journal. Also consider the word count or a page limit for a given journal. That saves the extra page charges also, because let's say, for an example, a journal allows 8 pages, and beyond that, it may charge around, let's say, $200 per page, which means it's huge. If we have 5 extra pages, that will cost us $1,000, right? $1,000. So that's huge. So it's better to be crisp, concise. How much do you want to cover in a single research article? You are checked. Do not stuff in everything which is unessential to save the cost, and that will cut down the workload also. Do not put everything in just one paper. You can publish multiple articles. If you have multiple methodologies, save it for later for a second article. Once those things are done, first draft needs to be prepared, right? So the ideas what you have in your brain, transform those ideas into discussions. Transform those ideas into a discussion. At this point of time, we are turning our preliminary ideas into arguments, rational discussions, or conclusive points, and then methodologies, and then we start writing. They may not be perfectly formulated during your first attempt, which is absolutely fine. Maintain the momentum when we are going forward. Maintain the momentum. Keep going forward. Keep going forward. Do not get stuck, because that will hamper our momentum and we get stuck somewhere. So we can write down in the flow and then perfect it later. We can perfect it later. Later, you can use any of those AI tools as an assistant to check the grammar or to do the paraphrasing or to enhance the English. Do not get hung up on any of the difficulties which we encounter, right? You will lose the momentum, and later definitely we can revisit and change if we have missed something or if we have written something incorrectly. So keep going forward. Express yourself with the clarity, right? Slow down your thoughts. Express yourself with clarity. Go much more deeper. It's okay not to do everything, and it's absolutely okay to just know 10%. 10%, right? 10% means, let's say, one particular field, you go much more deeper and know everything. We don't want to take 100% across all the fields, but the field, what we do, that we want to go much more deeper with 100% efforts, right? So it's okay if we do not know 10 things, and it's absolutely fine if we know just 2 things, but thoroughly everything. So have a clarity. Try to write clearly and concisely. Try to write clearly and concisely. This is something which we can improve later also. Let's say you're jotting down your thoughts and keep going. When you revisit, go with a clarity and reduce the wordiness. But it's also important that we have a clarity, right? So some sort of clarity. We can note down the bullet points with clarity, and then later you can expand on it. Be flexible. Do not be afraid of make adjustments to our plan, arguments, or structure of our research paper, which we have decided. Let's say we have defined the outlines, but be flexible, be flexible and change if needed. The point of our outline is to help to shape the research article, but it doesn't mean that we have to be exactly the same. The outline can be adjusted a bit, and then we can modify it a bit to accommodate the newer developments. Cite all the sources. In the first revision, first draft, that's okay if you cannot cite, but at least put down maybe author's name or maybe a short title name so that you can recollect later, and put the citation at the last stage or a second revision. When we quote or paraphrase, always cite. Always cite. You will have to cite them. You may want to perfect our citations later, but it's worth of getting the basics noted down. At least maybe author's name or maybe the title, I can note it down, right? And then I can do the formatting or further additions later. There are plenty of online citation generators are available, which will enable you. Even any of these large language models such as Gemini AI or Google Studio AI or ChatGPT, they can generate the citations. Furthermore, you can go to the particular publisher's website. From there, you can download the BibTeX file or take the citation from there in the respective format in which you are looking for. There is a good tool called SciSpace. It also does it nicely. Now, to do the efficient research and followed by the efficient writing process, your scope and your expertise and your background should be widened. And that comes only through reading. That comes only through reading. So always read, right? Or maybe develop a habit of daily 1 hour of reading. I'm not talking about reading the novels. I'm not talking about reading the novels, or I'm not talking about reading the newspapers. I'm talking about reading the research articles, good research articles, substantial, which the research articles which present substantial work. That kind of tougher articles I'm talking about to read. Get the habit of reading and read it through the soft copies. Get the habit of reading and read it through the soft copies. Do not take a printout and read, because let's say you have 100 articles, you cannot carry them with you, but that's so heavy. And when we use, let's say, this AI tools such as SciSpace, or maybe PDF editors or PDF readers, you have the AI assistant there. If you're not able to understand a particular equation or a particular text, or somewhere if you want to find out some related papers or articles, we can do that ping or question answers with that AI assistant in that online document. You can do the Control F search very easily, because that's what I like it most. Control F, I can search it, read it with a selective focus, right, on which I want to read. You can access the papers from anywhere. Let's say put them on the Google Drive, or just take the pen drive, up to you. But hard copies, definitely no. Let's say you're going for an interview after PhD for a faculty position, or maybe somewhere, whatever. You're going to attend a conference, or maybe somewhere. You cannot carry 100 papers together. That's not feasible. That's unfeasible, right? You cannot carry 100 articles, hard copies with you. You cannot carry 10 books together with you. It's so heavy. Better to put it on a Google Drive or somewhere and then read. Go digital. Go digital. Use these AI tools. Read there along with them, so that you can ease up your reading process. You can make meaningful reading. Take notes as you read. I mean digital notes, right? Develop the system of highlighting and underlining everything digitally, definitely, so that you can refer to them when you're building your literature review section. You can refer to them when reviewers ask the question that where is the citation for this. You can refer to them when you are deciding your system model or methodologies. So that's how you can build. Do not hesitate to take the helps from the sources. Do not hesitate to take the help from the sources, such as, let's say, AI tools, what we have discussed. You can use them. Use them ethically, not unethically. You can discuss with the professors, those who are the experts, or you can go and chat with other scholars in your team. You can attend the conferences, meet other researchers, and discuss with them. Look at the social media research groups. There are multiple of them. There are multiple online Q&A portals where you can drop your query and answer. These days, ChatGPT, Gemini AI, Google Studio have replaced them. So you can use AI tools to do your question and answers. If you're using a particular hardware or a software, and if you're stuck somewhere, drop a ticket or a query question to them that this is where I am stuck, and then resolve it so that your question can be addressed quickly. There are multiple writing tutors. Personally, I do not recommend that, but it's your choice. Content tutors are also available. They will mentor you for writing and content developing. But personally, I do not prefer them. Always have 3 model research papers. And when you decide these 3 model research papers, do not select those international journals, with the journal's name which starts with IJ, journal's name which starts with IJ, never read them. So read some sort of authenticated or very well-known, or those publishers, such as, let's say, IEEE is a good publisher, Elsevier is a good publisher, right? Read those kind of good journal articles, or published by the good journals, right? So that decide those three articles, and when you conduct your research, stay around that to meet the quality standard. There would be motivational sources also. Get the habit of reading about the other researchers' profile. I like it. Sometimes I read the other researchers' profile or their list of publications on Google Scholar. That gives the motivation, and that helps to set our direction in the particular direction. And also, we can reach those researchers for their guidance. Subscribe to the Google Scholars alert of your favorite researchers in the field in which you are looking for to generate the research, right? And ResearchGate is a good platform. Google Scholar is a good platform to follow the relevant researchers and follow their updates, the publications which they are publishing. Time to time, it sends the notification, and then I can go through those articles. It's always advisable to track or learn about other people's profiles so that we can look at our mistakes and modify them. Let's begin with the writing. It begins with framing the title. The title must be crisp. It must reflect the entire work. Title itself should be able to see that what is the work within this entire article, because it must be crisp and impactful, because this is the only thing which reviewers will read first. If the title is not concise, crisp, and impactful, they will not go further, right? They'll not go further. It should be precise, and length could be around 6 to 12 words. Not like, we should not write a paragraph in the title. We cannot write a paragraph in the title. You can write a paragraph in introduction, abstract, or maybe somewhere, not in the title. It should be around 6 to 12 words, max 2 lines. Such as, let's say, for an example, machine learning oriented, dynamic cost factor based routing in communication networks, crisp. Such as, let's say, recent progresses in surface plasmon resonance-based sensors, a comprehensive review, right? It clearly presents here. Look at this. This says that I am reviewing surface plasmon resonance-based sensors, right? Here it says that I am designing the routing algorithms for communication networks using machine learning methods. So that's how I can decide the title. Next important thing is authors. Thing is authors. The authors and co-authors, you have to note down their names. People will write doctor, professor, Mr., Mrs. No, those things are not required. Only the names, no salutation. No salutations, only the names. No salutations, right? No salutations. Later, you have to put the affiliations, the organization where they belong. And if they are having a particular membership, let's say senior member of IEEE or somewhere, then you can put them that senior member of IEEE or senior member of so-and-so body. One best, that what you feel, that you can put them here and format them as per the publisher's guideline. Let's say IEEE, Elsevier, Wiley, or Hindwai, wherever you are trying to publish, follow their formatting guidelines. Let's begin with the abstract. See, this abstract should be a complete projection of your entire research work. After title, abstract is the next important thing, and it should provide a complete projection of the entire research work, right? It should be a comprehensive overview of the entire research. In 300 words or 200, 250 words, you have to describe everything. Then, what are the major contributions in that particular research, the article which you are framing, and then what are your contributions? The unique aspects of the innovations, the research, right? What we have conducted, what are the novelties in that? What are the unique innovations that we are bringing through? What are the methods and algorithms that we have developed? The techniques, what we have used to accomplish those results, right? That we have to do. Put up some sort of pinnacle discussions about your those things and interpretations and analysis of the results. Few results, right? Not everything. The best result you can discuss in terms of number in the abstract, in terms of numbers, not in terms of trend. You can say, let's say, my method X is accomplishing 30% of improvement compared to the existing method. That's how you can decide. My method X is accomplishing 20% of the improvement or 30% of the improvement compared to the other methods. The key findings of the outcomes, right? Key findings or the outcomes of the research. One best pinnacle point of the final result, you can put that here. Not everything. The other things can be discussed in the results section. After abstract, important section is introduction. What is your article about? Start framing the story and the background. Introduce the research problem. Why is it needed? Upon accompanying with the key terms and ideas, right? Why is it needed? So frame a bit of short story and then dive deeper. Start building the background for your research article. Why is your work important? Address that. Why are we doing this work? Explain that in the introduction. State that clearly. Explain the readers what novel insights we are bringing in the current article. What novel insights we are bringing in the current article. How will you make your arguments, right? How are we going to frame the subsequent sections? So clearly define them. Brief introduction about the existing literature trend. So after you have done that, you can have this, let's say, related works section, subsection in the introduction, related works, where you can draft a literature review about the existing research trend and cite the other research articles, and subsequently stem and lead the discussion to indicate what are the opportunities, limitations, and challenges in the current work. What are the opportunities, limitations, and challenges in the current work? Detailed literature summary about what other researchers have contributed in the recent years, right? Go and do. Generally, people will refer some fundamental papers, let's say 50 years older article. For some sort of one or two research citations are okay, but try to follow last 3 to 5 years of research articles and cite them. Correct? Do not read too much of older articles because they may be outdated. So because the technology progresses very fast. So that the rapid expansion has to be done, and we can read only the recent articles. Inside them, highlight the identified research gaps in the introduction and state that this is the research gap. After the literature review, you can say that this is the research gap which is not being addressed. And as per our best of knowledge, we are the first one to address this challenge. And then this is the subsequent research work which we are presenting in the current article. Convince the readers that our paper represents the novel and essential research contributions, right? Convince the readers that our research article represents the novel and essential research contributions. Give a quick summary. Say that section number 2 presents methodology. Section number 3 presents maybe algorithms. Section number 4 presents the results, and section number 5 concludes and acknowledges the paper, and so on. You can build the structure, and at the end of the introduction, after claiming your contributions, put that organization section. So you can begin introduction first with the story, then build the background, then literature review, then claim the novelty points which you're bringing in, and then at the end, provide the structure of the organization. That gives your article. The next section is your main body, the core section or the technical section. Sometimes it starts with a system model. And it will have multiple sections and subsections. Each will cover a specific idea connecting with your problem statement, right? Each will cover specific idea or a specific system or a specific solution connected with our goal or problem statement. Make sure that the information which is presented is in the logical order, maintaining the continuous flow. We should not disturb the reviewer's reading flow, otherwise the article will get rejected. So we have to be clear and entire information flow smoothly progressing so that the reviewers will not struggle in reading the articles, and we get the favorable response. Include all the pieces of evidences which we have gathered, or all the system models which we have developed or worked for the current research work, and provide the evidences and arguments. So that these can be convinced. The research community can be convinced, as well as we can communicate to the reviewers also that this work is really novel. The general beginning would start from the system model, which could be a block diagram presenting the entire system what we have designed. System model generally could be a comprehensive block diagram, and once we have done that, definitely followed by the explanation, Next part begins with the methodologies. We have to outline the research methodologies which we have used or developed for our study. Subsequently, if we have drafted any algorithms or pseudocodes or programs, present them, right? Present them. If we have developed mathematical models, theorems, or proofs, right? Present them. Include mathematical models, theorems with proofs. Prove them there. Prove them there. Experimental setups. Describe the experimental setups with diagrams, pictures, block diagrams, pictures, images. If you have an experimental setup, take a picture of it. Not just the picture, you write down the labels. Let's say a particular device you have used, or maybe on computer, if you're showing the screen, then you got multiple fonts or windows, virtual windows, then take that snapshot, block them, and then do the labeling, write the text to indicating that this piece of code does this piece of code does this, or this piece of hardware does this piece of hardware does this, right? Short labels you give so that whoever reads, he will be able to reproduce and follow your, research work. Detailed explanation must be given. Provide thorough explanation of our work or methodology, and provide visual aids such as, let's say, flowcharts, pseudocodes, figures, tables, images, block diagrams, right? Multiple of them. Provide them. That makes your core section rich. The next part is the structure of the sections and subsections. Follow the structured outline. Keep your writing focused on the research problem statement. Do not deviate here and there. Keep it focused. Write impactful headings for the subsections and subsections. And generally, I prefer to avoid abbreviations in sections and subsections, because that's where the readers or reviewers, they read and then decide what is there in the subsequent section. The heading must be concise and crisp, and it should be able to present the primary content which is coming on in the section. It should be impactful. The headings, right? They should be impactful. They should enable reader to understand what's there in that particular section and where it is heading. Establish the effective transitions within and between the sections, subsections, and paragraphs, so that we are moving from one section to another section. Provide some sort of connecting paragraph or information so that there would be a smooth migration from the current section to the next section for reviewer. Please note that reviewers, when they are not able to find the smooth flow, they would reject the article. Same way, if it is published and if the readers are able to follow it nicely, the research article will get accepted or appreciated by them, and we get the larger citation count also, right? Use the words such as, let's say, because, moreover, however, furthermore, lastly, secondly, on one hand, on other hand, and so on. These days, this becomes slightly easier because of the AI tools such as Grammarly, WordTune, large language models such as Gemini AI, Google Studio AI, ChatGPT, but use them judiciously for an assistance, not as a replacement of the human's critical thinking, right? Use advanced vocabularies also, and the more we write, more we become expert in that, right? So it's never-ending process. Keep writing, and one day we'll be able to successful. After the core section, the next important section is results and discussions. Results and discussions. Use figures, tables, experimental setups, their block diagrams, pictures, images. Label them definitely. Simulation windows if you are developing some sort of program or software package. Snapshot of them. Plot graphs for the parameters, performance matrix, bar charts. Use them to present the performance matrix, right? So on. This gives an extra color. Analytical explanations of the results are essential. Once we have the results, we have to provide the inferences from those results and draw the analytical explanations. And results must be discussed in the form of numbers, not just in terms of general trends. We shouldn't say This is increasing, this is decreasing, this is changing, that is not changing. Those type of analytical discussions are not deeper and do not produce any outcome. Provide the numbers, such as, let's say, my current method reduces the computational complexity by 20% compared to the existing method, so that the reader and reviewer will clearly know that the current work improves the complexity by 20%, or it reduces the computational complexity by 20%. Provide comparative statements, compare them with the numbers, draw the conclusive points from the outcomes or findings, what we have. Present the tabular results. These are really good. Make a table, put all those numbers. Then draw the analytical discussion. If there are any strengths and limitations of your study, present them. Implications of the finding, mention them clearly. Other findings of our study, if there are any byproducts or if there are any other substantial findings, present them also. When you are using images, figures, or anything, ensure that you are using high quality resolution, right? High quality resolution. Ensure that you have very nicely taken snapshot, which are the aspect ratio is good, resolution is good, right? Next important part is the abbreviation. Abbreviations are extremely important. Abbreviations are generally defined for the frequently or repeatedly used terms in the research article. Let's say if I'm using a particular word repeatedly and I don't want to keep using that term again and again to save the word count, right? So if you're using those terms very frequently, for an example, in the research article, let's say if mobile routing I'm using and which is repeatedly used, then I would define that first, when it comes first, I would define that mobile routing in bracket MR, which can be defined as MR, right? I have defined that. And then now, subsequently in the paper, wherever I find mobile routing, I'll use MR. That will save the word count also. This is only one term. It could be done for multiple terms, and we can save a lot of page. I mean, we can space a lot of space, right? Double check that all the abbreviations are defined first. And then when it comes first in the next, later, whenever it comes, we have to use that abbreviated term. So people keep defining this again and again. Let's say mobile routing, bracket MR. Let's say machine learning, in bracket ML. Then again, when that machine learning comes, in bracket ML. Machine learning, in bracket ML. That is incorrect. Define machine learning, in bracket ML. Subsequently, whenever it comes, just use ML. And this has to be done separately. When it comes first in the abstract, define first, reuse in abstract. Chapter closed. After that, introduction onwards, let's say machine learning comes again, we have to redefine machine learning in bracket ML, and then throughout the entire article, reuse that. This means, let's say here, machine learning in bracket ML comes in the abstract, then what we do, we define it first and then reuse in the abstract. After that, whenever it comes in the introduction, again, I have to define machine learning in bracket ML. Here it is mobile routing in bracket MR, but could be anything. And then later, in the subsequent text throughout the entire research article, you can reuse MR. Perform one separate round of proofreading only dedicated to the abbreviations. Cross-check, because reviewers do not like that and they'll immediately pinpoint. Now, repeating this again and again, such as, let's say, machine learning, bracket ML, machine learning, bracket ML, throughout the entire paper shows that we do not know about this technique. And this shows the inefficient writing skills or primitive writing skills. So that is the indication, and paper gets rejected because it creates low quality of impression, right? So that's why we should be very careful. After that, draft a conclusion. When you conclude, specifically define what are the research contributions that you have offered. Highlight the unique contributions in the current research article, what you have provided. Write important points, the impactful points, emphasize the significant impact of the research findings, how it's going to create the impact. Define that. Provide the comparative strength. Provide the comparative strength. If there is a comparison, provide the pinnacle comparison that how your research is better than the other studies. If there are numerical findings, provide that final number, such as, let's say, my method X improves the computational complexity by 20% than the existing methodologies. Provide that numerical digit or numerical value so that people get the confidence. If there are any limitations, acknowledge them, specify that, and finally, provide the future scope for the other researchers, suggest the potential areas for future investigation, so that other researchers, when they read your article, they should be able to take it forward. Next is the acknowledgement. See, you have to acknowledge the funding agency. If you have received the fund from a particular funding agency, provide the grant number because the funding comes from there. Provide that in the acknowledgement section. If there are any softwares that we have used, let's say trial version, then provide the credit to that. If there are any evaluation versions, then provide the credit to them. Mention that this software was used for so and so purpose. If it's a licensed version, then it's your choice. Any person, if they have helped you for their support, put their names in the acknowledgement. If the contribution is sizable, you can decide that to put them in the authors also, co-authors also, it's up to you. If the involvement is sizable, maybe you can give as a co-author, give their name or a position as a co-author, but it's up to you, and based on their contribution and their efforts, how much they have contributed. References and citations, that is the last part. The cross-check all the figure numbers. See, I'm not talking about the list of references yet. I'm talking about all the cross-check all the figure numbers and their referrals to the text. Very often, the primitive researchers who are just beginning, their figure number is different when they are explaining in the text, and the figure number is different in the actual image. They must match. Similarly, what we are discussing in the text, the table number must match with the respective table number. Also, same thing has to be done for the table number also. Cross-check all the references. Sometimes we have cited something else, and when we go to that number, the reference is something else. It must be exactly listed with the same number what we are citing in the research article. Such as, let's say, if I'm citing a particular paper with a reference number 10, then this must be there at the 10 in the reference list. Provide the formatting exactly as per the publisher's guideline. So such as, let's say you are targeting for a particular journal, it will have this format. Then we have to reframe everything as per the journal's format or as per the conference format, which is mentioned in the author's submission guidelines. The last part, when you have done the entire, when you are done with the entire article, check the plagiarism and similarity index, followed by the AI score. Generally, plagiarism is a copy paste or stealing event. It could be now these days it is from AI also. So we have to be very careful. Bring it down below 10%. So plagiarism and AI score could be below 10%. You can use Turnitin, or there are many plagiarism checkers available or AI checkers available. They can check for your AI score and plagiarism index so that accordingly you can revise your article. Ensure that we do not copy any images because they will have the copyrights and there would be copyright infringements on the images. That's why we cannot directly copy paste. Either you can redraw them or purchase the license for a reuse from the respective publisher. Draw the images at your own and bring your own ideas into the image, and then you can rewrite accordingly, redraw accordingly, or rewrite similarly the paragraphs accordingly. The consequences of the plagiarized content or heavy AI score, that gives a negative image and paper may be rejected immediately. Let's say it is published by mistake and it could be retracted. If it gets retracted and the organization has claimed the NIRF ranking, based on those retracted papers, now the ranking agencies may penalize those organizations also. And when the organization gets the notice, it's going to come to the bottom of it, and then he'll find out who was the researcher who published those junk articles, right? So be careful with it. If it is found repeatedly, a publisher may impose the penalty or a ban on the authors. Now, see, the last phase is the revision before the submission. Revision before the submission. Once the first draft is completed, revise it multiple times. Before you share the complete manuscript to your supervisor or guide, ensure that at least 2 times we have revised in our own words. Ensure that at least 2 times we have revised in our own And during each revision, aim to improve the quality by 10 to 15%. And the revision process is really crucial. Arrange the entire paper in good shape before the final submission. Arrange the revision process. Can you mute, please?
Switch program ಬರ್ದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ addition subtraction
Madam mute ಮಾಡ್ರಿ. Madam mute ಮಾಡ್ರಿ.
Script complete
Dear participants, just mute yourself.
Or you can mute everyone. I mean, otherwise you'll mute. Do not mute me. Do not mute me.
Okay.
The revision process is crucial to arrange your paper in a good shape before the final submission, right? Ensure that entire work or writing is lined up with the problem statement, and if there is anything missing, check. If the first draft is written clearly, then it's good. Otherwise, you keep revising, improve the clarity, and keep going further. Are there any confusing or ambiguous paragraphs? Look and rectify them, right? If it is too lengthy, and if it is too much into a single article, shorten them. Can we cut down something and save it for later? Check if it is too lengthy. If it's too short and it doesn't meet the expected quality standard or complexity standard, then you have to redo some sort of additional work also. Or you have to do some sort of additional work also to match the quality standard. It should not look dull. The article must not look dull, otherwise it gets rejected. Take a careful look at your first draft and the areas of improvement, and be mentally prepared to do whatever it takes to improve. And see, if there is a need to change the outline, go ahead and restructure it. Do not be stubborn. Be flexible. Sometimes change is inevitable, and then we have to do that in order to improve. Cut down all the redundant and irrelevant segments. Sometimes we keep repeating same information again and again. Avoid the repetitions, right? That is not essential. Prioritize the most significant change first. Identify the major change that will create the impact or knock-on effect on the entire article, and start executing those transformations first. This is once we have written the entire article, and then second time when we are revising, reorder the information if it is needed. Reformulate the arguments to make it more clear and substantial, right? Present the information in a different order if it is not matching the order, right? Change it. Cut, add, whatever it takes, do. Be flexible. Do what's suitable to improve the quality. Overcome the psychological barriers. And pushbacks, right? To publish in the good journals, we have to be putting our efforts in overcoming them. Do not hesitate to restore something back if the newer version doesn't work. After a revision, let's say some of the part is not fitting in, and if you want to restore back it to the older version, do that. That's okay. Fix all the typos, spelling errors. These days, you can use those AI tools, Grammarly's. You decide what you want to use and fix them. Check if there are any missing words, repeated words, confused word choices, if there are any punctuation errors. If you are providing excess space, look into that, remove them. Capitalization, formatting, references, check that. Always use overleaf so that these things can be minimized. All these things can be minimized. Check, have we used all the terms which we have defined consistently throughout the article? If we are defining a particular abbreviation, And if we are not using that, avoid defining. All the numbers, what they have been mentioned, they must be consistent across abstract, conclusion, and they must match with the main body of the work, as well as they must match with the figures and tables. All numbers what we are jotting down and mentioning in the article, they must be consistent and matching. All the citations must be matched with the exact numbering with the reference list. They must be matched with the exact numbers with the reference list. References must be properly formatted as per the guidelines given by the journal or a conference. Generally, we use Overleaf, and this is done automatically by Overleaf. Check the document, the entire formatting, syntax, grammar, everything. Check it nicely. During the editing phase, look at the text very closely and check for the grammar and grammatical issues and clarity. People use these tools to adjust these things, these days, and that saves a lot of time also. But manually you check that those tools are not changing the meaning of it. Generally, I prefer to check everything sentence by sentence when I'm at the last stage to resolve any grammar issue, to resolve any technical glitches, and to raise the quality standard of my English and the word which I use, right? I replace the primitive words with the advanced vocabulary. I combine smaller sentences into the bigger sentences, or I cut down 2 big sentences into medium-sized sentences. So it's up to you, but look what it fits, right? Clarify technical ambiguities. No ambiguous statements should be there. Request your colleagues, supervisors, or other researchers to review and comment on your paper before you submit to a journal and conference. Sometimes second opinion is always better. We can improve. And sometimes people say English is not my native language and I'll not be able to improve. So, which is not a valid argument. It would be rejected directly. These days, it's not so difficult. People do it. There are many tools available. Reviewers do not wish to review the papers which are not readable. Ensure that you have a clarity, your article is drafted well, and it's readable. And poorly written articles, they get rejections. Right? Characteristics of a dull paper. Lack of focus. We are deviating. We don't have a clarity on the problem statement itself. Lack of originality. It's just a copy from multiple sources. Incremental work. It again lacks a novelty. Something is existing. I am just doing a little bit of incrementation and then trying to publish. 2 short articles without matching the expected quality standard. Article is too short. Nothing is there much in the paper. Or it's very lengthy. Very heavily lengthy, right? So it's very lengthy. Then again, it doesn't, let's say 70 page of article or a 50 page of article. It could be a PhD thesis, need not to be everything in one research paper. Lack of reasoning. Analytical reasoning is not there. Inferences are not provided. That kind of thing. Lack of sufficient literature survey. We are not citing recent state-of-the-art literature papers, right? Research papers. We have to cite maybe, let's say, 50 to 100 research articles which are published in the last 5 years. Lack of strong outcomes. There is nothing much to be presented from the research work, then it won't be published. Lack of impactful presentation, right? We must use figures, tables, block diagrams, pseudocodes, drawings, mathematical models, programming packages, windows, their snapshots, or maybe demonstration proofs, something, demos. Lack of sufficient numbers in the discussions. We are just discussing this increases, that decreases, that kind of trend sort of thing. We have to go analytically and produce the numbers and discuss in terms of numbers rather than just the trend. Lack of analytical explanations, discussion of the general trend without supplying the numbers, not providing the comparative study, compare with the existing works. That gives the confidence that we have gone through the previous works and we are comparing with, so that gives the confidence to the reviewers and other readers. Use of undefined abbreviations, such as, let's say, some people will start talking about the short abbreviations, and They think that the entire research community knows about that. No, they don't know about it. We have to clearly define the abbreviation first, then use it, right? The referral numbers of the figures tables are not matching. They must match. Use Overleaf or LaTeX-based platforms to overcome that. Cited reference numbers in the text are not matching with the reference list. They must match. They must match. Revision and response to the reviewers' comments. Let's say your article went to the reviewers, and reviewers, they have given the comments. Ensure that you have the mentality that reviewers are always right. When revising, try to address all of their expectations and questions. And if you do not agree, sometimes give a polite reply, but not rebuttal too much, and do not respond so quickly. Understand the reviewers' comments nicely first, and then try to revise as many comments as you can, and try to satisfy and comply all the comments. Too many rebuttals may lead to the rejection. Too many rebuttals may lead to the rejections. So be careful when it comes to the revision. That's almost sure shot. So it's in your hand now. So you revise it nicely to make it materialized. Let's say if it is rejected, do not lose the heart, because it's a part of the publication process. Rejection will happen. Mostly when we do the first attempt, our paper will be rejected. So never lose the heart. Read the reviewers' comments nicely, go through each, and revise the article as per the comment and enhance, and as per the comments, and enhance the quality. Also take a careful and proactive look at your own and check anything was missed, which could enhance the work quality and strengthen your manuscript by doing that work. And upload to another suitable journal and wait for the responses. If the reviewers have not given any comments and just rejected, there could be two reasons. If the scope is not matching, or the quality standard of our work is not matching. Therefore, we have to look for, if the scope is not matching, find out a suitable journal where the scope is matching, or add some additional work which improves the quality of the manuscript. Never give up. That's the idea in publications. Never give up. Keep doing it again and again. It will come. It's just a matter of time, because as we practice more, we do better work, and then at some point of time, the publications will follow. The publications will follow, right? The publications will follow. That's all I have for today's session. Thank you very much for your time and attending this session. If you have any questions, we can discuss.
Thank you, sir, for your informative session. Participants, if you have any question, you can unmute and ask the question.
Hello, sir. This is Nana
Hello.
from CSU Department and Technology students. So, sir, what is the most challenging part of writing a research article for you?
For me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that job, my PhD students do that. But driving the research is most difficult task, because doing the work is most important first. Because see, over the period of time, when I was a PhD student, English was my major challenge. These days it became very easy. So I couldn't write professionally. So it takes a lot of time in the revision. That was the major challenge when I was a student 10, 15 years ago. These days, the major task is to conduct the research, to identify the research gaps, to design the experiments, to work, write the programs, identify the novel slot. That is the major task right now, challenge.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sir, can we use AI tools?
Yes. Yes, you can use. I'll show you around. Let's just see. Get that. Okay. So let me just share my screen. Just 1 minute. I think I unshared it. You can. That's the list of AI tools which you can use. Okay. Before I forget, I am dropping. See, if someone is interested in this video, I'm dropping a link here. That is the entire recorded session what we have right now. And I'm giving you one more link about the AI tools.
So it will
Which
not
madam-
come in the plagiarism, sir.
Yeah. I am just, just give me a moment. I'll address everything. I'll address your question. That's okay. Just give me a moment. I'm just searching a link and then I'll just start doing the questions. Okay, so that first link was the current research, this research article session. The second link which I'm sending is an entire guide on the research, AI tools for research, right? This is AI tools for research. And the question which madam is asking, I am attaching the third video that is also recorded. That is everything about the plagiarism and AI scores. Plagiarism and AI score. Hello. Plagiarism and yeah, just 1 minute. I'll start questions. I'll start taking the questions. Just 1 minute. I'm just putting down all the resources in chat box so that people can go through it. They are in public. You are welcome to take a look. Okay, so the third video which I am attaching is all about the plagiarism and AI score. All about plagiarism and AI score. Okay. Okay, so madam's question that can we use AI tools? Yes, up to certain extent we can use. Can it come in plagiarism? The answer is yes. If you take the content from AI and directly copy paste it, it will come as a plagiarized content. However, if you put the citations and if we manually cross check everything, then we are crediting the sources, then it won't come under plagiarism.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
The common mistakes for, yeah, madam, other questions you can ask if you have.
So you mean to say that if we give the reference for sources, sir, then it will not come as a plagiarism, no, sir?
Yeah, but idea should be means everything cannot be generated by these large language models. When it can be generated, but it will come as a plagiarized content or a high AI score will be coming. So if idea is yours, you can use AI tools for rewriting or maybe further enhancing or for brainstorming, and then cite all the sources.
Do we need to pay to make use of all these tools?
Sir, how to identify the predatory journals? How to identify the predatory journals?
Yeah. First question, do we need to pay for these tools? I don't pay. I'm using all the free versions. Up to certain extent, you can use it, and which is sufficient for us. So you don't have to
If we
pay
use
for it.
freely, only we'll get limited usage. But at limited
Then pay
access.
and get it. Yeah, then pay and get it. Full also. But there are too many. So how many will you pay for it? One or two maybe.
Hardly with the free, we can start with 5 to 6 papers, I guess, sir. I tried it for SciSpace. Later on, it started asking subscription.
Okay, there are coupon codes available on SciSpace. If you want, I can share that with you, right? But yeah, for SciSpace, after some time, it will ask for payment.
Yeah.
But it's really a good tool. You can buy for your research team or people, right? Let me see if I have a SciSpace coupon code. Someone sent me from SciSpace. So I'll just attach that code, may save some money for you if you're looking for that purchase. But I recommend it that you use it freely first and then you check if you like, then and only then you can buy.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 1 minute. I'll take the next question soon. I'm attaching her a code. Attaching sir a code. Where is the code? Okay. Yeah, there it is. Why is it tagged with my name? I don't know, but you can use any of those codes. I'm not promoting any of those, but someone has tagged with my code. Is my voice audible?
Yes, sir. It's audible.
Yeah, next question, madam. Yeah, you had a
Good
next
afternoon,
question,
sir.
madam. One more question. What are the predatory? Good
How
afternoon.
can I increase my chances
The question
of
was
getting-
how to find out the predatory journals.
Yes, sir.
Your voice, hello? Just say it one more time.
How to identify the predatory journal?
Am I audible? I mean, generally I do it by ChatGPT itself. I can ask that suggest me top 5 predatory journals on Google Studio AI. It'll suggest me top 5 journals. You go through this video. There is one session within that video. How to use AI tools as a journal finder. This particular video, right? You go through this video, how to use AI tools as a journal finder. Detailed process, I've covered that, or you can just type it in the user interface and find them. It will suggest you top 5 journals or top 10 journals. There are journal finders available. Yeah, next question, madam.
Sir, how can I increase my chances of getting accepted by a high impact journal, sir?
By doing good work.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, madam.
Sir, what is the best way to avoid the plagiarism in the papers, sir? How can we
Note down all
avoid
the
the
sources.
plagiarisms? Okay.
Okay, so this is the entire video about the plagiarism and AI scores. You can go through this video. It shows everything how to overcome that. But the crisp answer is note down all the sources, cite them wherever the information has been borrowed. Never copy, do the paraphrasing, cite all the sources. Never copy the images, videos, block diagrams, pictures. Draw your own using draw.io or maybe PPTs or somewhere, wherever you're comfortable. That will cut down your plagiarism index. If you have an AI generated content, cross-check everything, ensure that idea is yours and you are using ethically to produce the paraphrase content and cite them.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Keep asking the questions if you have. If you have questions, please keep asking.
Sir, I think there is no more question. I have just wanted to ask, like, when we are publishing or when we are writing a paper, first we have to go for the journal where we can publish. Like, what is the scope of that journal? That we have to find out first, or after writing we can check
It's better to find out first.
first. Okay, sir.
And you can
Yeah.
ask ChatGPT to do it. Do you want me to show that?
What's it? I didn't get you.
See, okay. See, I'm showing on my screen
Okay, sir.
because two people asked the same question. I'll just go through it. I have attached the video also, and I'll show you on the screen also. ChatGPT or maybe Google Studio AI. Anyway, is my screen visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll use Google Studio AI, and what it says. That says suggests the top Q1 journals in the field of artificial intelligence or large language models. Correct? This is the field. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I hit enter. See, this is suggesting me. Okay, so this is Journal of Medicine. See, entire journal list has been displayed. This is one journal. See, this is IEEE transaction on pattern analysis and machine learning. Right, so you can pick it up that journal and then go through some of selective articles in that.
Okay, sir.
You're welcome. Any more questions?
I think
Good.
no more questions, sir. We'll wind up then. So
Sure.
thank you very much, sir, for your time and expertise sharing. We are very honored, like you have given a wonderful session, like how to start with article writing, like starting from identifying the problem and then doing the literature review, and how to organize the content systematically, and what are the tools we can use, and how to identify the journals where we can publish. So I hope the entire session was very useful for the students as well as the faculty members. They can go for writing a research paper effectively. So thank you so much, sir. On behalf of City Engineering College and Department of CSE, I wholeheartedly thank you for the time and your precious time and giving this wonderful session. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, madam. Thank you very much for the invitation to present new ideas with your institute. Thank you very much, madam.
And I thank all the participants for joining this session and the technicians who helped us to conduct and arrange this event, and the coordinators and the management who has given the opportunity to conduct this session, and our principal and HOD madam, for everyone who has helped us and cooperated with this event. I wholeheartedly extend my gratitude to each and everyone who are participated in this event. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye. Dear participants, the feedback form I'll be sharing in the chat box.
Ma'am, are you giving the certificate?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you sharing over this one, ma'am? Mail?
Yeah, through the mail we'll share.
Okay.
So I hope like when you fill the feedback form, please enter the proper name and the email ID so that we can share the certificate to you.
Yeah, where is the link, ma'am?
So I'll be sharing it.
WhatsApp.
Here only I'll share. In WhatsApp also I'll share.